right, welcome everybody back to another episode of the Big Doug and Carmi Show, your one-stop shop for all things Commanders. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button so that you never miss an episode like today's with our good buddy from the Team 980, Kevin Sheehan. Kev, what's happening, man?
What's up, boys? How you doing?
We're excited to see. It's been another crazy off season in Washington. All things coming up roses still. Before we get to all that, Kevin, you are on YouTube through the Team 980 now. Good thing you've been coming on the podcast with us all these years, getting used to the video. Is there any real transition to YouTube or just another day at the office?
Just another day. We did several years where we were actually televised on Masson,
Right.
For a few years, and then yeah, I mean, it's just whatever they want me to do, I do. I'm easy.
I know that's right. Let's see. I have a question for you. Obviously, that's what we do here, but what is more impressive, the 20 years of Snyder's ineptitude and crashing a business that is crash proof, or the Hog Group's two years here?
What's more impressive? Oh, what Snyder did is really impressive, actually, because it's impossible. What these guys have done is great, and it benefits all of us. But we haven't won the Super Bowl yet. Haven't been back to the Super Bowl. But we it feels like we're on our way, to contention year in and year out. Yeah, what he pulled off, honestly, I've talked about this so many times over the years. It should be studied at like Harvard Business School, because it was such an incredible consumer brand with millions and millions and millions of customers. And it seemed impossible at the time in 1999 when he bought the team that the business could fail. Like there was zero chance that it could fail. And yet he pulled it off. And people will study in all seriousness how the mistakes that were made along the way, because they were incredible when you think about the outcome.
What is the most impressive thing to you that has pulled off so far?
Well, that they didn't screw up picking Jaden Daniels.
Yes,
that's
right.
A big difference. I mean, we can talk about better people, smarter people, the culture change. There are a lot of good organizations that aren't good on the football field consistently until they get a quarterback. And boy, they hit the timing so right. Last year's draft, all of those quarterbacks having the second pick in the draft. Think about Greg Zuerlein's, field goal attempt at the end of 2023 on Christmas Eve against the Jets. If he misses that kick, Washington ends up with, the fourth or fifth pick in the draft instead of the second. There's some good fortune there. But what really matters more than anything is in football today is the quarterback. The quarterback can mask a lot of inefficiencies in ownership and in your locker room and throughout. We've seen that happen over the years. Remember the Colts before they drafted Peyton Manning? It was a disastrous franchise. You think about like the Cardinals before they got Kurt Warner to show up. And all of a sudden they're in a Super Bowl. Like no one ever gave them a chance to getting to a Super Bowl. But organizationally, the support structure is there for the quarterback and for success to sort of surround him, which, increases the chances. But what would they have been last year, realistically, had they drafted somebody else that wasn't nearly as good? 6 wins?
Another 4-win football team.
Yes, and maybe more, because it was a little bit better. But yeah, 5-6 wins, something like that. Right. So, and Jaden Daniels, thank you for being available, and thank you, Greg Zuerlein, for making that field goal at the end of the 2023 season.
Absolutely. Definitely a butterfly effect there. Kevin, it's been an interesting offseason here in D.C. We traded for Larry Tunsil. We acquired Deebo Samuel. We're putting together a team, and you kind of alluded to it. We had a great first season last year, but ultimately we're chasing after the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl champs. I'm curious, do you think the offseason did we make enough? Did we catch up and bridge that gap towards Philadelphia, or there's still some work to do, in your opinion?
I don't know. It's hard to know. It doesn't feel like a lot of ground was gained, maybe a little bit. Look, they're going to be good on offense next year. If the quarterback's upright and healthy for the majority of it, they're going to be really good on offense. And they got better offensively because they improved the offensive line with Laramie Tunsil and maybe their number one pick in Connerly Jr. They added Debo. That's going to be a big factor and another weapon offensively. Defensively, I think most of us are like, did they get better? How much better? Because it was bad last year at times. And Philly won a Super Bowl with defense first. It's the first time it's happened in a while. But, defense is variable year to year, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. And I always point to the 2022 season where, Allen and Payne and Sweat, like they were a good defense. And then inexplicably in 23, they were the worst defense in the NFL or one of the worst. And there were a few changes, but not major changes. And, maybe year 2 of Joe Witt Jr. with some of the same guys, add a couple of other pieces that they added in free agency. Maybe you get a guy like Jordan McGee, who I know they liked last year, who's healthy. Maybe the defense is much better. But what's more predictable is offense because of the quarterback and touching the ball on every play. And I think offensively, it would be hard to kind of believe that they're going to be worse than they were last year.
Now that the draft's over, Kev, are there anything that you heard that you thought might have happened during the draft? Scuttlebutts behind the scenes that Birds told you that you thought might happen? Or were there any surprises for you during the draft?
Not really. The only thing that I think might be true is in the 4th round before they took the receiver from Virginia Tech, there were 4 defensive ends and edges that went off the board in the 6 or 7 picks. I think 2 of those players may have been, targets had they been on the board instead of, Jalen Lane. And I think Kyle Kennard may have been one of them from South Carolina, but I don't know for sure. This organization is much more tight-lipped than the groups that preceded them, which is a good thing. But it would not have surprised me if one of those 4, maybe 2 of those 4 edges that came off the board in the 4th round, if they had survived to the pick, I think it was 128, that if one of them had been selected instead of Lane. But I know they liked Lane a lot too.
Was Mike Green on their board, or was he off for the character stuff?
So.
Do you know? You said you don't think so?
I don't think so. I don't think
that's what I said.
Yeah, I don't think Pierce was a possibility, and I think Green was a possibility. But let me just say, I don't know for sure on Green. I would bet a lot of money that Pierce would not have been selected by Washington had he fallen to them.
I agree. I feel like Pierce there's more question about his work ethic and left for the game. That's a complete antithesis of what we want here in DC. Kevin, to that end, talking about the edge class, was there a position or particular player that you were interested in going into the first round? And ultimately, how do you feel about Connerly going first?
I feel good about Connerly going first. Anytime you're investing in your most prized possession and the protection of him, I'm fine with that. I was surprised. I think I was not surprised that an offensive lineman was taken, but I didn't really think about Connerly Jr. He was a pure left tackle in college. These days, any tackle, and it seems like anybody on the inside can move around. But I thought that Ezeraku from Boston College was a possibility when they were on the board. But he was only, 245 pounds, which meant he wasn't the solution to their run game issues, their run stopping issues. But I think he's going to be a good pass rusher. I think the Cowboys believe it too, and I think they got a really good pure pass rusher.
To that end, unfortunately, the entire NFC East, I think, got a good bit better during the draft. The Cowboys came off with a couple of guys that I really liked. Ezeraku, one of them. Kevin, I'm curious. There's 2 years left. I know this is just kind of like thinking ahead, but there's 2 years left on Tunsil's deal. I'm sure he's still going to want to get paid top 5 left tackle money. What's the chance they'll run his contract out, move Connerly Jr. back? The kid's only 21 years old, move Connerly back to left tackle, and then you draft a right tackle in a couple of years to play, and then you're not ponying up big time for the left tackle, knowing at some point you're paying the quarterback $750 million, which sounds crazy.
Doug, I think they're going to sign him to a contract extension. I think that was part of the trade. I think he wants a contract extension. Then wasn't willing to go that far out. I think he gets a contract extension certainly before we hit next off season. Terry's first, but I think Tunsil will get a contract extension. It doesn't mean that it won't be like front loaded in a way that after 2 or 3 years, if he's not really what they want at left tackle, they can't move on in kind of a painless way and move Connerly Jr. back. But I'd be surprised if Tunsil doesn't get an extension at some point.
What does the Terry extension look like?
What was Jamar Chase? I'm forgetting now. He got to 40.
A lot.
Right? He definitely got to 40.
Yeah.
And I think his running mate got to 35 or 32.
Yeah, I mean Terry's got to be at 30 plus, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He's older, but yeah, I mean, I forget because I'm getting confused, but Chase is at 40. Jefferson was at like 35. Higgins, you said, is a little bit more. Ayuk last year was what, 28 a year?
I'll pull it up right now.
Terry's got to be at 30. Yeah, I think Terry's got to be at 30, right?
Yeah, probably.
3 years, probably a lot of it guaranteed. 3 or 4 years, yeah.
Well,
I mean, the difference between Ayuk and Terry is Ayuk is much younger. Higgins is younger.
Yes.
So to give you guys context, Jamar Chase $40 million, Justin Jefferson $35 million, CeeDee Lamb $34 million, DK Metcalf $33, AJ Brown $32. That rounds out the top 5.
So they probably work it right there around the DK deal that was just done last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Kevin, kind of pivoting a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So we talked about the draft, we talked about the players being put together. My thoughts are, as a local being born and raised here, we had some exciting news with RFK potentially coming down the pike. Are you excited about that, or do you see potential like barriers getting to that point?
No, I am excited about it. I mean, I kind of feel like a lot of my, younger years and the best memories, sports live event memories, were in RFK Stadium. It's the best. I mean, you've heard people my age talk about it forever now. So it's great to go back. I mean, it's going to be 5 years from now. And I think one of the interesting things is over the next 5 years, Landover, Northwest Stadium, will produce probably the greatest memories football team wise.
That's true, actually.
Because this is looking like the best stretch of big games and playoff games. And I mean, there's a chance they'll host an NFC championship game or two, at Northwest Field. So yeah, that's the part that's interesting is on the way out, there will actually be some fond memories of the place that we hate.
That's right hilarious. Now. After being terrorized for a couple of years, for 20 years or so on, are there any non-negotiables that you want in the new stadium, Kevin? Do you want a dome? Do you want grass field? Is there anything like a statue in front of the building or anything like that, in your opinion?
God, I haven't thought about the statue in front of the building, but it doesn't matter what I want. This is going to be a roofed, as they're calling it, not even domed stadium.
Yeah.
With, hopefully views in sort of a translucent kind of setting. But they need to do that because they've got to be able to attract events year round. And a Super Bowl is certainly a possibility, if not a really good bet within 10 years. You'll get a Final Four there maybe. So you're going to be able to attract big time events. So I'm for that. It's great for the city. I live in the city, and I think it'll be a great deal for the city and exciting, for years to come.
Imagine the draft on the National Mall, like right there. Like I can see it and how great it'd be. Like dust coming down behind the Washington Monument, and you've got the draft there. Just all seems like somebody else's life, right? Like it's just this is not what we're used to at all for the good things happening. Now, Kevin, it is not a final done deal with the stadium, but it feels like when you've got Goodell sitting there next to the mayor, next to the owner, and Rigo in tow. That like it feels like the toothpaste is already out, right? Like what would happen to keep this thing from working in your opinion? Is there anything that can derail this thing at this point?
I don't know. I think it's going to add Phil Mendelson, the DC City Council chair, on the show
Yeah.
today, and it's posturing. They're going to negotiate a better deal for the city. That it happens all the time, and everybody's blaming each other for not having information or not providing it. But I think within a few months we'll have a vote, and it'll be a good one, and there will be a stadium there in 2030.
As we look a little bit more at the roster, Kev, is the need for a DN more blown out by the fan base, and the way that they've treated free agency? Are they telling us that?
No, a lot of the decent pass rusher other than Luvu and Scheme and but how Kinlaw fits in and Eddie Goldman fits in and Dietrich Walker, they thought their offense was better than the line than we thought, and maybe they feel defensive line again.
And then Kevin, regarding the offensive weapons, I know we had Deebo Samuel. We added Jalen Lane in the draft. We added a Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Did you hear anything about those players? Have you talked to anybody during film study? Are you happy with those additions? And do you think B-Rob can still be RB1 going into the season?
You're breaking up a little bit, but I think you asked about the running back position, and
yeah,
I thought that they would. I mean, Merritt's the guy. I mean, this was a deep running back. He didn't play much college football last year. He played one game.
All right. Well, hopefully he'll come back a little bit. But yeah, I guess, Doug, to that end, like, I guess, what are your thoughts? Do you think, like, Jacoby Merritt, like, while we're waiting on him, do you think he could get, like, impede on Brian Robinson's carries at all, or do you think B-Rob's still going in as RB1? I think he's going in as RB1 still.
He's going in as RB1 into camp. There's no doubt about that, because the organization, the coaching staff has told you everybody's earning a spot here. Mm-hmm. Now, do I think that Brian Robinson is the best running back on the roster? I'm not sold. I don't know. How much better realistically is Brian Robinson than Chris Rodriguez?
That's what I'm trying to figure. I think he's better. I think he is better in that regard. I think Brian Robinson.
He is. I think I'm not trying to disrespect him by saying that, but like the point remains, the gap's not that big.
Yeah, I can see that. For me, I can see Brian Robinson being like a middle of the pack kind of running back. And if he gets enough carries, if he gets 300 carries on the year or something along that line, Doug, I can see him getting up to like 800 yards rushing. And, I think Brian Robinson's a solid back. I think he's a fine back. I'm not sure he just kind of takes it to that next level. I think that's the bigger concern there. Merritt, I just don't know where he's going to fit. He doesn't catch the ball. People kind of overlook that. He only had about 14 catches his entire career, so I don't think he has that like pass catching ability that Austin Eckler has.
Of course, unless they didn't ask him to do it. I mean, I don't know what those are. I haven't gone back enough and looked at the offense to know like kind of what they asked him to do. Mm-hmm. But I'm also not certain that we need him to catch a ton of passes either. Like, if he can just be more effective than what it is now, I think we talked about this the other day, and I saw our good buddy Derek Brown from Fantasy Pro said this, which I thought was interesting. He said if anybody was going to have the Bucky Irving season, it would be that kid, Krosky-Merritt. Give him 4 games to get settled in, and you guys see that he's a totally different back than what we have now. And I think he's in line for a good portion of the carries. Kevin, we're talking about the running back position and how quickly that there are a lot of people that say if the kid that they drafted in the 7th round was actually able to play last year, he was more like a 3rd rounder. Like I think at the fan base, I know we kind of are. I'm not sure about Brian Robinson going into the season as RB1.
Yeah, I wanted a running back. There were so many running backs that I liked. This guy might be the one. You just never know. I mean, how many running backs were taken? 15,
A lot.
16 in the draft, something like that. It was thought to be a deep draft. I mean, rarely do, number one guys come from the 7th round, but a lot of times they come from the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds, 6th rounds. Terrell Davis was a 6th rounder, yeah, I mean, I like him. I mean, I didn't know much about him until after they picked him. There were other guys there, at various points that I thought would have been good picks, but it was such a deep draft. I'm glad they waited until day 3 to pick the running back. But yeah, I mean, scheme, fit, opportunity, all those things always play into it with sort of the running back result. There are a lot of running backs that probably, had they been in different situations, would have been household names. It's kind of like a shooter in basketball, like a spot-up three-point shooter. If you get in the right situation on the right team with the right teammates, with the right coach, right scheme, all of a sudden, you're, an all-time spot-up, shooter. You're Steve Kerr with Jordan. And running backs are similar that way. There's probably not a lot that's different among a lot of these guys. So the opportunity and the fit is going to, I would think that our situation, there's an opportunity if he's really legit.
They've been running this 1-year deal a lot. And I know they've had to because of where the roster was when they got here. But it feels like the way they're doing the roster to me feels like the way they won games last year, where they had to put together like 10, 11 play drives. And it just feels like that is a tough road to hoe the whole way through. Is it the same thing with the 1-year guys? Like, how impressive has it been that they've signed all these 1-year deals? And other than like the cornerback from last year and the kicker, everybody thrived and they hit on, but that's tough business creating a roster that way. I think a lot of people thought they'd move around in this draft and acquire more picks for more players. They were happy to sit where they were and take players that they think can make an impact sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe this is the new way of doing business. As long as the quarterback's under contract, your best skill position player, your best offensive lineman, a couple of big time defensive players like Frankie Louvu and Marshawn Lattimore. Hopefully, Lattimore, Sam Still. Maybe that's maybe they're comfortable doing that with maybe what would it be? Half the starters being on 1-year deals. I don't even know what the math would be on that, but as long as your quarterback and your key contributors are under contract for a long time, I don't know. Maybe we're learning something about a new way of approach.
If he comes back, if he makes it back, go ahead. If you had some, I know you had some Maryland questions to ask him.
But
it is crazy though.
You guys keep losing me, man.
I know it's crazy.
We can hear you at least. We're going to wrap it up in a couple minutes.
I don't know what's going on. You guys keep dropping me accidentally because I think everything. I'm looking at the stream here. It looks good.
You're perfect now. You sound great. Yeah, perfect. 100%.
George's got a couple of Maryland questions for you before we get out of here, Kev.
Yeah, Kevin, to wrap it up, you talked about the new business of the NFL. I think we could also look at the college basketball, college football landscape as well. I'm a huge Maryland guy, as you know. You're a man of my own heart, a Maryland Terp. I know that. I'm curious. We're starting to see these NIL deals. We're starting to see Buzz Williams here in D.C. We're starting to see a great recruiting class. I guess we have 1 month of Buzz Williams. What are your initial thoughts on him so far?
I mean, he's got one of the top portal classes coming in. It's a top 10 class. He just signed a 5-star.
I saw that.
The kid from La Luminaire in Indiana. And, I mean, I think, look, Maryland fans hate me because I actually thought Kevin Willard was a good coach. And I
liked him too, Kevin.
know that Mark Turgeon was a good coach.
Yeah.
But I think Buzz Williams is going to be a good coach. It's going to be stylistically different than what we watched last year because offensively, he hasn't had the most explosive teams, but they're always going to play tough and they're going to be good defensively. But we were just talking about the 1-year deals. That's college sports now, especially college
100%.
basketball. I mean, your
100%.
roster is just flipping every year, not just a few players. I mean, with the coaching change, every player on that team is going to be a new player and a new face.
Absolutely. And I think he can recover faster than ever, right? I feel like so that's actually a great point. I actually thought Kevin Wheeler was a great coach as well. I liked him and I was hoping he'd return. Has your impression changed on him? I saw some of your early tweets. I don't know if you I was with you. I was a little heated after Sweet 16. Has your mentality changed on him a month later after what happened and what happened with Derek Queen and the way his tenure ended in Maryland?
I'll just say what I've said all along. Like, this was really a look in the mirror moment for the school. You know,
I agree.
Two decent to very good coaches decided they didn't want to be here anymore. And Maryland's got a lot to figure out and make sure that it doesn't happen again if Buzz Williams ends up being a really good coach. I like Kevin. I like Mark. The fan base, you know this, it is a rough fan base. And they felt like he didn't handle it the right way. And it could have been handled more smoothly, no doubt about it. But the whole situation at Maryland, 4 years ago or 3.5 years ago and this year was just not great. And now that the athletic director is gone, the real big hire is going to be this athletic director. They've got to get it right because they haven't had a good athletic director in a long time.
I agree. And Kevin,
are you going to throw your name in the ring, Kevin?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to throw your name in the ring?
No. I would not want it. I would not want that job. I wouldn't want to be in a big state school dealing with a board of regents to try to get what I want. No, I'm happy right here.
Absolutely. And Kevin, just like you, I went to Maryland when they were in the ACC. They transitioned to the Big Ten post-college for me, so that was a transition for me. I think you nailed it. I think the one positive takeaway with Kevin Wheeler is that reflection, that honest reflection on already devoting ourselves to the program there. I don't know if you saw today, we signed a 6'5" combo guard from Spain, a semi-pro 17-year-old. That's fantastic. I'm excited about that. One of my last questions for you is, what are your expectations for the year? Are we going to be competing in the Big Ten? Are we going to be bottom of the barrel? What are you thinking so far?
I don't know anything about these players. I mean,
that's true.
I saw Lunardi put us in the tournament in his, too early, bracketology, had us as like a 10 seed. And the portal class has gotten highly ranked. Now the recruiting class with the 5-star kid will be a ranked class. But you're putting together a new team every year. So it's the chemistry, it's the fit. I mean, last year at this time, we thought, all right, they should be okay. And we were excited about Derek Queen. But we really didn't know how good Gillespie and Rice would be or Selton Miguel would be. And they were crucial. And the fit was right. So, the coaches that get the right pieces and sort of have a vision on how the pieces will work together are going to be most successful in this era. And hopefully Buzz can get it done because last year's team was fun to watch. They were legit good.
They were fun. My last question for you, Kevin. I don't know if you saw it in November. There's a Vegas tournament. It's Alabama, Auburn.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fantastic. Are you going to head out to Vegas for that tournament at all? Or
I don't know about that because I'm trying to figure out once the NFL schedule comes out, if we're playing in Madrid, I'm going to go to that game. But I'm happy that they're seeking out better non-conference early season tournaments because I feel like we haven't played in great situations in November and December like we did with Gary. It's been a while. When's the last time we were in Maui to play?
I know, right?
With Gary, I think we went 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll get out on this. You mentioned Madrid. For those of us of a certain age, Kevin, we're going to be up late a lot this year, right?
We are going to be up late a lot. Yeah. There are going to be a lot of primetime games. I mean, I had the guy that makes the schedule, one of the guys in the group creates the schedule on like a week and a half ago. And I just said, difference between Washington and this year versus over the last, it's night and day. Washington's one of those teams that has several games that will be treated as high-profile games. It's not just that they're good, but they've got a schedule. They're, the NFC North, AFC West, 2 games against the Eagles, 2 against the Cowboys. They're going to be featured a lot. Get ready for late nights and probably at least one of the 2 major holidays having a game.
Give me Thanksgiving.
I think it's Christmas.
Hope not.
I think it's going to be Christmas. I think they're going to play in Madrid, and then they won't play on Thanksgiving. They'll play on Christmas.
It'd be not if they do play on Christmas. It'd be nice if they were like the Cowboys of Thanksgiving. Give us Christmas every year. Let us know that it'll be like ours. We're one of the first ones to do it. I think that'd be pretty cool. Kevin,
I think the Chiefs actually asked for that.
Yes, I saw that.
I don't know if the league
I think
will
we
do
should do the same.
anybody.
I think we should do the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's one of those polarizing subjects. I think a lot of fans, especially fans with young kids, would prefer no on Christmas Day.
Yeah, family time. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an old man with a white beard, so I don't have to worry about that, Kev.
You and I need content on Christmas.
That's right. You're the best, buddy. Thank you for doing this, man. We always
Kevin.
appreciate it when you give us your
Sorry
time.
about the technical issues again. We'll figure it out.
It's
No
all
worries,
good.
man. Thank
We
you, man.
appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.